because we have found ourselves here. But I say it's never too late, to do the right thing. It's never too late to receive our proper names. It's never too late to basically put an end to our mental enslavement. So um, I want to start with some. The first question is, where did we get the names that we bear, right? I would spare you going around asking you for your name, right? But we all know that we have names that are most likely of European descent, right? Or in some cases of Arab descent. And so what I would like to interrogate with you, to just get the full understanding of what, naming means is why did we get those names? How did we end up being called Mary, John, Robert? How did that all happen? So I'd like to start with this kind of provocative, set of slides. Here you have, can you see this well?
Mm-hmm.
You have this Chinese man, right? And he says, "Hi, I'm Chinese, and my name is David Smith." Most people will react to this, right? And say that there is something wrong with this picture. Would you agree? What is wrong, really? The most obvious.
He has an American sounding name
No.
for a Chinese person.
Well, that's why he's Chinese, right? But the name that he bears is not Chinese. So we say, okay, wait a minute, something is wrong here in this picture. Chinese man, European name. And here we have this Arab guy, and he tells you that his name is Philip Davidson, right? But he tells you before that he's from Saudi Arabia. So again, the same reaction, something is wrong, right? How can you be from Saudi Arabia and your name is Philip Davidson, which is really a European name? This sister here is Indian, and her name is Sharon Pierce. Do you know of any Sharon Pierce? Right? But she's Indian, so again we will say, okay, wait a minute, you have a problem here. Do you follow me? Right? Do you know where I'm going with that, right?
Yes.
Okay, now this one is an albino, and she tells you that her name is Olufemi Obatala, which is a Yoruba name. So you say, okay, wait a minute, there's something definitely wrong here. Can you be clearly very white and have a Yoruba name? This one is French, but his name is Zan Li. Again, we will protest. This is not right. Because what is the expectation? The expectation is that your name should reflect who you are, your identity. Yet when we have this young sister here from Philadelphia who tells you that her name is, what is it? Liz Smith, we don't react the same way. Am I correct?
Right.
You see nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know any Liz Smith? Yes.
Probably.
Yeah, every semester I have 2 or 3 of those in my classes. Black, not a problem. We expect that, in fact. And look at that brother here. It tells you he's from New York and his name is Bob Raven. We don't respond, we don't react the same way we did, right? When we had this Chinese guy telling us that his name was, whatever his name is, David Smith, right? That did something to us. But this here, this doesn't do anything to us. So the question is, why not? You see? And that's what I would like us to interrogate. Why isn't this bothering us the same way? Why isn't there any more this expectation that there should be congruence between the name and the identity? You see? Why have we gotten so used to those European names? And so I want to offer the idea that the reason why we don't respond or react anymore to why we've come to accept those European names is because we've been subjected to what I call a double process, of conversion and subjection. But before I get to this, let me say that European names have been used and are still used as tools of mental and physical domination. I want to ask you a question. It's a genuine question. If you should go to the SPCA tonight and get yourself a dog, right? You get a dog, put the dog in the car, and before you would have even gotten home, you would have done something for your dog, which is what?
Name
Name it.
You would have named the dog, right? Why do you name the dog? What gives you the right to name the dog?
Because you own
Because you own the dog, right? You pay for that damn thing, it's your dog. You name it. That's what comes along with ownership, the prerogative, right? To name. And so you name your dog. And by naming your dog, you assert that you own the dog. And by naming the dog, you also claim ownership over your dog, right? That dog will only have one name, the name that you have given to the dog, because it's your dog, you own the dog. Am I correct?
Mhm.
And it's the same thing you see that has happened to us. During enslavement, we come with our African names, but the Europeans have to take possession of us. They have to claim ownership. And so what do? They name us, right? They name us. And by naming us, they're saying these people, if you want to call them that, are ours. And this is how, as I said, Kofi became Paul, Ama became Liz, Kwame became Bob, and Akosua became Laura. So here we go again. I'm from Philadelphia. My name used to be Ama, and now I am Liz. Do you follow me? My name used to be Kwame, and now I am Bob. Because now I have become someone else's property. That person named me, and in so doing, the person owned me. So the question, of course, is, why do we keep this? And then the answer is pretty obvious, because, we're still basically owned. What I want to say that what we have here is a double process of cultural suppression and conversion. When our African names are taken away from us, what is taken from us is really our past as African people. So we become very confused, right? Confused to the point that we think that our ancestors are somewhere in England. I mean, we have a name like, Liz Smith. Where would you be looking for your lineage? Not in Africa. You go into England. That's where it all started. And this is very real. I like to tell that story, which I found very, very sad, but very telling. Here in Germantown, they were asking people randomly where would they like to take an ideal vacation. And this young 15-year-old African-American girl said that she would like to go to England. And they asked her why, and she said to go look for my ancestors. So, the impact is profound. I'm just saying this, but I don't think it's really, it's real. That what happens is that our lineage, our genealogy are basically being disrupted. When you receive a European name, you are being inscribed, right, in a lineage that is not yours. Do you follow me? It's not ours, so we become totally disoriented. We think that our ancestors actually came from England because with names like Smith or whatever, they could only come from that place. So it really creates a great sense of disorientation and confusion, right? But to make matters worse, when Europeans give us those names, not only they disrupt our original genealogy, but they also inscribe or reconfigure ourselves like their children. Do you follow me? Because who in Western society where does a child get their name from? From the parents, right? So here we have now this situation where not only our genealogy is disrupted in terms of our African origin being really blurry, but now we start thinking of Europeans as our parents. Yes? So it's quite deep, because parents give names to their children. Is that right?
Yeah.
So now, as a child, how am I supposed to treat my parents?
Respect.
With respect. I'm supposed to be obedient. I'm supposed to know my place. I'm not supposed to talk back.
Honor them.
I'm supposed to honor them, pass on their names to my children, and maybe even to my dogs and my cats. You see? I'm supposed to do all this, because these are my parents. These are bad parents, by the way. That's the problem also. You know, the parents usually want the best for their children, but these are terrible parents. Terrible parents. They want to see us fail. You see? That's the problem. We look up to people who do not have our best interests at heart. So, we know we are in a very bad situation with these European names. Whether we're aware of it or not, that's the weight we're carrying, the mental weight, you see? And we wonder, why is it that we put up with so much? Between the image of the white Jesus and then those European names that we carry, which reinforce, unconsciously the idea that these people own us, that these people are above us, and that we owe them respect like children must respect their parents. It's going to be very difficult for us to really stand up and say, enough is enough. You see? And we do put up with a lot, don't we? Also, there's this conversion process that I've mentioned, which is that Europeans' assumption is that we have nothing, we are nothing, and that we need to move to a better place, which is where they are. In order to move to a better place, we need to be like them. Ideally, we would be them, but it's going to be a bit difficult. So I'm mentioning this because then receiving a European name is part of this conversion process, supposedly to get us to a better place. So we were savage in Africa, we are savages in Africa, we become civilized, and so on and so forth. You move from animality to humanity, and again you move from speaking dialects to speaking European languages, and you move from those African names that nobody can pronounce right to those good sounding Anglo-Saxon names. That makes you someone, right? Even simple two-syllabic African names, people would act, oh, I can't pronounce this. Like my daughter's name is Tamu. All the time people tell her, I can't pronounce your name. Tamu. What is difficult about that, right? It's not that it cannot be pronounced, it's that it's not a good place. It's an African name, so you're going to move to a European name. Can I call you Natalie?
Tammy.
Tammy. Can I call you Tammy? Right? That sounds better. That makes you human. With your Tamu name from the Congo and all that stuff, and the jungle and the beasts and the cannibals. Right? So it's not the name that they cannot pronounce, but this is really what the name in their head stands for. Right? So when we stay with those European names, somehow we agree, with that idea. So as a consequence, again, we are quite dislocated. We are lost basically because we have names that do not look like us, that do not speak of us, but that basically create a lot of confusion. And so that's why we want to, for Century International, we organize those naming ceremonies for adults, Naming in the African tradition is extremely important. You don't just receive a name any kind of way, you wake up, you say, oh, I like the way it sounds. No. The name you receive must have meaning for you, everyone is unique, right? You could be named, that's often the case, after the name or based on the weekday, because again, nothing happens by chance, right? So you could be born on a Monday, but then you happen to be named born on a Saturday. Each day has its own energy, right? And so you could receive a name. This is often done in the African world, where you are named after the week. Now, in Africa, people don't get just one name. People could have up to, from what I have read, 50 names. Yes, right? You don't receive 50 names all at once, right? But as you go through different stages in life, as things happen to you, right, then new names are added to reflect your own personal story. You see? So you start maybe with 2 or 3 names. There's a naming ceremony in every African cultural group. It takes place usually on the 7th or 8th day of the week, depending whether it's a boy or or a girl. But it's a communal affair. The whole community comes together. When I say community, family, people who are close enough, and they will bring names to the child, right? Those names are basically to tell the child what is expected from him or from her at a very early age. Right? Now, again, we are in a different situation here because many of us have already lived many, many years. We've been on this earth for many years. We haven't had necessarily the guidance of African names, but we've managed to be here today. So that says something, right, about us, that we're still looking for relevance and meaning. So the names that we want to take must have meaning for who we are, who we want to be, because those names are also reminders of our mission in life, right? I'll give you an example. I've named my children, I have 3 children, they all have African names, and there are 3 names in 3 different languages, African languages. They all mean the same thing. They all mean kindness, because I want my children to grow up as kind people. You see? So this was my wish for them as their mother. I didn't ask for them to be rich. I asked for them to be smart, right? I asked for them to be kind and compassionate, because to me these are great qualities, that we care deeply, right, about other people. That's what I wanted for them. That's what I still want for them. I want a few other things, but that was the main thing. So all 3 have, and so you know what? When they act mean, when they don't live up to their name, I threaten to take their name away and to give them a white name. You see? I said, you're acting like a white girl or white boy right now. I'm going to call you John or It works. They're terrified. Oh, no, don't call me that. I'll do better. You see what I mean by saying your name is a reminder, right? If you wanted to be known as the one who brings light, for example, right? That's a beautiful name, and you have to live up to it. So a name is not something that we take lightly. It's a mission, a goal that we're assigned to ourselves, right? Based on, what we know ourselves to be. I don't want to be, I don't want to think I want to be a great artist if I really have no talent whatsoever, But you know what I mean. So again, the name could be a reflection of the order in which you were born, your family. There are names that's one of my really favorite names. I'm the one who opened my mother, literally, which means I was her firstborn. You see? So when you tell me that your name is that, then I know you were the firstborn. Could be the name reflecting the circumstances surrounding your birth, right? Maybe there was a big hurricane, a big storm, or maybe your father went missing that night. I don't know, but there are stories woven into the names That's why you receive many names. You could be the one who was born after twins. That is also important because twins are important in Africa. So could be the one who was born abroad, far away from home. Your name would say that. How is it done in Gabon?
Different ways. I know after the twins, after the twins,
Yeah.
I've seen it.
A special name for that?
Yeah, special name for that because the twins are very important. There's a lot of ceremony about twins.
Yeah. Anybody is a twin here? Nobody has a twin brother or sister?
Well, I had a twin sister, but only one survived.
You survived.
Well, not me,
Oh,
but my
you
younger
were
sister was
not-
supposed
you
to be a
were
twin.
not-
Yeah, my younger sister.
Your
Yeah.
younger sister.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your younger sister would have a name that would reflect the fact that she was a twin, but that the other one passed away. You see?
In Sierra Leone, though, 'cause my parents are from Sierra Leone, they don't have like the names, surrounding twins. Like I know countries like Ghana do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
But
usually-
what I'm saying is that our name should tell our story.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Everybody has a personal story and a unique story.
Mhm.
So names like my name, the name I took is Ama. And Ama in Akron is for a girl named born on a Saturday. So needless to say that there are hundreds of thousands of Amas, right? So Ama alone is not telling my story, right? So I have to have the names that will come along. Ama, we have Ama born on Saturday. All right, we got that. But Ama has a meaning, right? The meaning of Ama is the one close to God. You see? In fact, in some other, like among the Dogon, the name for God is Ama. You see? So you find that this closeness to the highest, you see, is in Ama. And, you have every day of the week particular attributes associated with it. Yes.
Sometimes, I say sometimes also we name somebody like, let's say I like one of my mom's sisters, and we have like a good relationship, and I want to have the same relationship with my daughter. I can name her after her,
Yeah, yeah.
something like that. Or like my mother, for instance, she had like one sister who never had a child. I can give a husband the name for my child, or I can give her a name kind of so they don't,
Yeah.
we carry them.
Yeah, there's also another aspect which I forgot to mention, which is the reincarnation aspect. Because we're all supposed to be a reincarnation of the previous, right, person, spirit. So if we know who that person is, most likely one of our names will be that. Either directly or indirectly. I know that in Yoruba, say Babatunde means the father has returned. You see? So that child is the reincarnation of the father. You see? Babatunde. That's what it means. Father has returned. So you see, it's quite deep. It's quite deep. You don't just take on any name like that. And your name should be very dear to you. You should carry your name, with a sense of awe because it's you. It's a reflection of you. That's why you see it's so sad for us to have those names that we cannot even explain. Okay, my name is Beatrice. I don't know who Beatrice would never sound. Evil woman from God knows where. And I have no idea. I'm carrying this name, the energy, right? These names have energy. And here we are, carrying that energy, which is not a good energy. Whereas we could have our own names that would really be a source of strength for us. And would connect us in a deep way with our own ancestors and our own lineage. And so on and so forth. So I assume that if you hear us because you want to take on an African name or different African names, am I correct? Yes? Do you have any idea already of what names?
Something that sounds pretty. I have to, you know, if I see a list, I'll
No,
find one that I'm drawn
no,
to.
we're not going by list, okay?
No,
Because
oh, okay.
we're not going by list. That's like
Do you have
first-
options? Because I can't think of any offhand.
No, forget
Oh,
it. Don't worry about it. I'll find you a pretty name. So you have things that are pretty. But what is pretty, you see?
Yeah,
What
how it's pretty.
really what should matter, first of all, is the meaning. You see? The meaning, the substance of the name. Right? Because again, remember, your name will really give you direction. We all need directions. We all need reminders. You know, especially in a society like this one, we get so easily distracted with all kinds of nonsensical, irrelevant things. You see? Crazy, really crazy. So how do we remain focused on what we want to do, what we must accomplish before we leave this world, right? This is what our names should be for. And again, if you take on a name, please use it. You see? I have seen people come, tell names, and then 3 months later I meet them. Oh, my name is Jan. What do you mean? That's not the name you received. You came and you, you know? So, you know, it's important. If we're here on this Sunday morning, we could be 1,000 other places, but we're here. This is serious, right? So, think about yourself. Let's take a few minutes for you if you don't know yet. I'm going to pull up on the screen the names of weekdays, right? Do you know which day you were born? Okay, we can
Tuesday.
figure that out easily. Do you know
Google.
you know which
I
day?
can just go to Google. I forget. I think I was born on a Friday, but
You're not sure. What about yourself? We can start there. You don't know. You see, something so important.
I know
You
I'm the
see?
second
Yeah.
born.
You were the second born. You would like your name to reflect that? Is it important
my
to you?
name, sure.
Yes? What about yourself?
Used to know the day of the week, but that's just
Mm.
looking at a calendar at this point.
yeah, I'm still looking at it.
Okay. What about you? You will take an African name too?
Sure.
That's not sure. It's something you want to do.
Oh,
You
oh,
know?
think about it.
It's not,
Positive.
yeah?
Yeah,
of course,
just let me
yes.
ask, once you take a name,
Mhm.
then do you have to go through the legal process of changing all your documents and?
You do as you want. If you, I would do it if I could.
Mm.
Funny for me, I'm not a U.S. citizen, so I cannot do that. But I definitely would do it. I wouldn't want to see that European name anywhere near me. Now that I understand what it means,
Yeah.
that I'm basically owned by white people, I don't like the idea at all. You know. But again, it's a process. So if you want to go along, wait, and you know, it's.
So like you could use it on your stationery or your email,
Yes,
you could
you can
start.
do that,
yeah,
yes.
you could start like
Yes,
that.
yes, you can start like that, yes. Yes. So do you have those gadgets that will allow you to look up your birth date? You just look for a calendar.
I was
What
right
is-
Friday.
You were born Friday?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sunday? Who was born on Sunday? You were born on a Sunday?
That's what you say.
Yes.
Let me see.
Oh my goodness. It's like a
Alright, let me see this. I